All right, we've been following the Trump administration's mass deportation operation closely. And I want to show you something. Take a look at this. Here are some facts about a former Milwaukee police officer who reached the level of sergeant, police sergeant. In 2007, he was convicted of criminal damage to property. Now, this was based on the fact that he kicked in the door at his girlfriend's home and threatened to kill himself with his service weapon. Now, he was fired for this, but he appealed and he was reinstated. He was, however, put on the Milwaukee County Brady list. This is a list of law enforcement officers who have been caught acting in a way that damages their credibility as a witness. Now, in 2009, he reportedly got drunk and slapped a woman. In 2012, he was already under investigation for allegedly claiming overtime hours that he hadn't earned when he drove his car into a home, a family home, while he was intoxicated. His blood level was over twice the legal limit. And by the way, the mother and the 3 children were home at the time this happened. An internal investigation was launched and he was fired, and eventually he left the force. He appealed the decision and he resigned. Now, looking at this resume, let me ask you a question. Is this someone that you would hire? Would you feel comfortable putting him in a position of trust or decision-making? Would you hire him to be a security guard at a mall? To be a crossing guard for your child walking to school? How about giving him the authority to make life-altering decisions over another person, over you? Well, that's exactly the power that former police sergeant Charles Cross Jr. was given. 4 months after he was fired from the police force, Cross was hired as a private prison contractor by Core Civic. That's a company that runs and operates immigration detention centers for ICE. One of the responsibilities that he was given was to help identify Venezuelan migrants as members of the criminal gang Tren de Aragua. In fact, this is the form that he would use to make that assessment. Now, it lists several factors to look at in making that assessment, including, do they admit to being a gang member? Do they have gang tattoos? Are they in possession of contraband or paraphernalia? Are they in contact with or observed to be with gang members? Do they have communication with known gang members? Are they in group photos with known gang members? Is there intelligence from other agencies about this person being a gang member? All of these very important factors to consider. Now, I want to introduce you to someone who ended up in front of Cross to be assessed. This is Andry Hernandez. He is a gay man from Venezuela. He loves performing in theater and designing costumes. He worked as a makeup artist at a TV station. Hernandez left his home country last May, claiming that he was being persecuted for being gay and for his opposition to Venezuela's authoritarian government. He tried to enter the U.S. illegally, but he was intercepted by U.S. Border Patrol agents and returned to Mexico. Hernandez then made an appointment through the government app CBP One and followed the legal process, appearing at the San Ysidro point of entry in August. He passed a credible fear interview with a federal agent, but then Border Patrol authorities questioned him about his tattoos, and he was transferred to ICE custody. There, Hernandez was evaluated using this form that we talked about. Hernandez's form is signed completed by a fellow Core Civic employee and confirmed by, you guessed it, Charles Cross. And the form states, quote, conducting a review of detainee Hernandez's tattoos, it was found that detainee Hernandez has a crown on each one of his wrists. The crown has been found to be an identifier for a Tren de Aragua gang member. End of quote. Now, none of the other factors were checked off. In fact, Hernandez specifically denied any gang affiliation. The assessment was based solely on Hernandez's tattoos. So based on those 2 tattoos, what happened to Hernandez? Well, he was put on a plane and sent off to one of the most notorious prisons in El Salvador. Listen here to his attorney.
He was doing, exactly what he was supposed to be doing in terms of presenting evidence in his case. We were prepared to move forward to seek protection here, and unfortunately, he was disappeared before we were able to do that. We were supposed to be in court on March 13th, and that was the last time we spoke with Andry. He was removed on March 15th.
Now, as for the validity of an assessment based solely on tattoos, well, internal documents from the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, documents that were obtained by USA Today, show that these agencies have been questioning the effectiveness of using tattoos to identify members of Tren de Aragua for years. So let's take a look at Hernandez's tattoos. 2 crowns on the wrists, one that says mom, the other one says dad. Do they look like gang tattoos to you? His attorney says there's a valid explanation for those crowns. Listen here.
Andry is someone who's been in a theater troupe since he was 7 years old. And as you mentioned, the Three Kings, a Christian play, pageant that happened every year in his hometown. These tattoos are really an homage to that, to his artistry. He's also someone who did makeup for the Miss Venezuela pageant. He was even in pageants himself. These crown tattoos, which have such a easy explanation to them, make him a member of Tren de Aragua it's absolutely astonishing.
Now, we see crowns everywhere, right? On beauty queens, on little girls dressing up, on royalty, even at fast food joints. None of those people are being accused of gang affiliation simply based on their crowns. So now we don't know if Hernandez was also evaluated by federal agents. We don't know if there was other evidence used to accuse him of gang membership. When asked about this case, the Department of Homeland Security wouldn't give any specific details, but they did say that they used more than just tattoos to evaluate gang affiliation. But if there is more evidence here against Hernandez, it's not being revealed, not even to his attorney, who is supposed to get all of the evidence that the government has against him. Now, you may be thinking, why is this such a big deal? Why is she criticizing the people who are getting dangerous gang members out of our country, off the streets? Just let them do their job. Well, let me say this. For 20 years, I prosecuted gang members in Los Angeles. I put many of them behind bars. I know firsthand how dangerous they are, how violent they are, and just how deadly they are. I had my life threatened, my family's life threatened. So I know how critical it is to get gang members off the street. And I also know how important it is to make sure that we do the work to identify these criminals, to have the evidence before they're deported, to do it right. And this is the recognition and value that we Americans put on human life. It's what makes our country the world leader that it's been for a long time. Now, President Trump has said that the vetting process is important. Listen here.
I was told that they went through a very strong vetting process and that that will also be continuing in El Salvador. And if there's anything like that, we would certainly want to find out. And but we will continue that process, absolutely. We don't want to make that kind of a mistake.
Looking at what has happened to Andry Hernandez, it appears that a mistake has been made. Let's use the power and the greatness of our country to do something about it.